So hello, and thank you for joining us on our Wednesday morning, online guided meditation call. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, the Center for Spiritual Living's spiritual leader, and it's my honor to be with you as we move through this process called meditation. The purpose of meditation is to commune with Spirit. Spirit in the context of this new thought, philosophy, faith, way of life that we practice here at the Center for Spiritual Living is a very practical one of understanding and believing that there's only one activity ever taking place. We call that the life of Spirit or the life of God. And that power, which is the force of life, exists equally among all of us, and that we both process it, experience it, and express it by means of our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions and our reactions and interactions in life. The animating principle of this very power is called Spirit. And so this meditation that we're sharing, whether it's live today or you hear it at a later time, either on our YouTube channel or just come across it somewhere or a friend shares it with you, is titled Opening Our Minds to God. And so if you have a challenge with the word God in the traditional sense, and if you have a sense of humor, I'd just like to remind you that God spelled backwards is dog. And so we know that there is no purest form of life than a dog. So you feel free to use the G, the O, the D interchangeably, as well as you can label the power any word that you like. Life, Beulah, Allah, Yahweh, Christ, the One, Source, or the thing itself. But the very thing we're looking at in this meditation is that activity, that animation of being through us is done with and as Spirit. So let's focus our mind on readying for this meditation as we always do by getting anchored in a chair or on the ground, or maybe even comfy on a sofa if that feels compelled to you. But just feeling the gravitational pull of the heartbeat of Mother Earth as it's pulling us down into the core of its being. While simultaneously we feel the tug, same gravitational, from the infinite nature of the sky. Let's use the moon to be an example to pull that energy up through our spine, elongating our spine up through our neck, out through our crown chakra. So as if one activity was taking place, even though it feels as it's an alternate beat, we're being gravitationally pulled down into Mother Earth for grounding, while at the same time being pulled out into the ethers of the sky, way beyond where we can see the moon, elongating and opening ourselves up to receive during this time together. I encourage and invite us to practice breathing as follows. Inhaling through the nostrils to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Holding. Exhaling out through the mouth. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's do that again. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, and 4. Gently, slowly closing your eyes. I begin to encourage you to look into the back of your eyelids. It's that place called the optic screen. While viewing the optic screen as if it's a big screen television or the screen that a small millimeter film is running on, the screen of a computer, or letting the entire night sky be the screen. You get to choose how it shows up for you. I invite you to see these words that I read to us showing up on the screen, allowing any other thoughts or feelings or images to rise up during this meditation, trusting that it is the very spirit that we're speaking of, communicating with you. And so let's inhale together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding. Exhaling. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Opening our minds to God. It's written that Spirit responds to us by corresponding to our states of thought. We enter into Spirit in such degree as we comprehend it. It enters into us through correspondence in such degree as we comprehend it. Let's breathe in together. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's just trust that through this meditation we comprehend Spirit in a newer, greater, more loving way with greater ease and no angst. So this power called Spirit responds to us by corresponding to our states of thought. In other words, bringing to us in form a reflection of our states of mind. So we begin to tend to our states of mind right now. Continuing in this dance of opening our mind to Spirit, it's written, we enter into it, Spirit, in such a degree as we comprehend it. And so in this moment, we give ourselves permission to comprehend it intellectually in a greater way, while at the same time allowing from deep within our soul the wisdom of knowing that we know, that we know, that we know what it is, that we identify with it, and that we use it effectively rises up to meet our intellectual thought. And that's how we comprehend the very thing itself. Goes on to write, it enters into us through correspondence in such degree as we comprehend it. Prayer, communion with Spirit, and meditation or contemplation are for the purpose of unifying our minds purposefully with universal mind, opening up the avenues of our thought to a greater influx. And so let's do that together right now, opening up our mind, the mind of the divine. We are individualized expressions of the very thing itself. Opening up greater avenues of our thought to receive a greater influx of the very thing itself. So just as there are bloodlines and arteries and veins and muscles and nerves all moving through our being on different avenues, some incredibly microscopic, some the size of a number 2 pencil. You just begin to see all of those opening up in a clearer, more concise way to receive this influx of Spirit, of the animating principle of being, of the thing itself. Knowing that our life is more enhanced simply by just opening these greater avenues. And so we choose to go deeper now that these avenues are open. It's further written that spirit is ever ready, ever waiting, because its nature is to incarnate, meaning to take form. The greater our receptivity and comprehension, the more complete its flow. So we breathe in a readiness to expand our receptivity into these greater avenues. Exhaling, opening up that space, that avenue, while giving ourselves permission to comprehend in a new way, being unattached to how that feels or looks, just knowing that we are being divinely guided through our comprehension. Realizing that our comprehension then manifests itself in form, this incarnation that spirit is longing to do. And so marrying this greater receptivity and comprehension, we know that there's a more complete flow to spirit as the animating principle of being in and as our life. Just letting that sit in our mind and our being for a moment. We hear that the universe is not a spiritual system. It's an orderly system. That we live under a government of law always, whether we deal with the soul, the body, or spirit. Whether we're dealing with physics or metaphysics. The law is subject to spirit. Which doesn't mean that spirit is capricious or may create a law only to break it. But it does mean that the laws of nature are our servants and obey us insofar as we understand them and properly use them. And the way that we get to use them properly is by surrendering to the flow of the universe. By tending to our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, our reactions, and our interactions in life. It's by living from that place of a complete acceptance that the only thing there is God, and its nature is unfailing. And so with every breath, with every thought, with every reaction and interaction in life, we aim our arrow of engagement to hit the bullseye, with the bullseye representing the highest form of thought possible for us at the moment. And trusting and knowing that spirit responds to this action by corresponding with an equal or greater life experience. Not simply in physical form, but an experience of an arising of emotions, of a deep knowing, of a settling in, an acceptance that we are enough just as we are. While being engaged in the evolutionary process of expanding our consciousness. So remembering that we are of like nature to the Supreme Spirit. Everything exists within it, and we exist within it. We've now arrived at a state of consciousness whereby we can consciously approach this Supreme Spirit, believe in it, and receive it. That's what we're doing right now. And using the law as our servant, not to enslave it, but using ourselves to rise up in a way that appears as if we have empowered the law to return to us experiences or expressions of life that seems miraculous or mystical or magical. And yet, it's simply just responding. So realizing that we've now opened our avenues of thought, chosen to be unencumbered as we open ourselves up for a greater influx from Spirit. Remembering that we play a role in this co-creation of the manifestation in life by means of how we use our minds, how we act, react, interact, and show up in life. We open our minds to see what rises up as what would be the first thought of how we would like to use this power in a more magnificent way today. We each get a very clear image of that on our optic screen. And as we hear further what Dr. Holmes says about declaring that very thing or desire, he writes, such a desire is natural and in every way normal. And the possibility of such demonstration of this desire already exists within the mind of every living soul. Every one of us has within ourselves the power to consciously cooperate with the spiritual side of our existence in such a way that it will create for us, through us, a new body and a new environment and a greater happiness. But the greatest good which this philosophy of life brings to us is a sense of certainty, a sense of the reality of our own soul, of the continuity of our own individualized being, and the relationship of this self to the great whole. So as we breathe in together, taking that in, realizing that the ability that we have to manifest that desire, whether it's health or finances or career or being more forgiving or a great parking space, they're all the same thing. That we know is a blessing and a part of our everyday engagement with the use of the law of mind and engaging into the spiritual side of creation. But in this very meditation, we rise above that and allow to rise up within us a newly found, unquestionable, unequivocal sense of certainty. A sense of the reality of our own soul, the existence of ourselves as complete and whole beings of the One and as the One. And the continuity of our own individualized being, meaning that the very essence of who we are is not bound by time or space. And the final four in this quadrant is the relationship to the self, of us, the self, to the great whole, WHOLE, reminding us that the molecular makeup that is housing the spirit within us is one with everything else that is molecular in our universe. There is no thing, nowhere, no place, no one that this is not true for or with. So we breathe in together, 1, 2, 3, and 4, holding. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Continuing with the last paragraph of this morning's reading for the meditation, it writes, "The greatest good that one can come to is the forming of an absolute certainty of ourself and of our relationship to the universe, forever removing the sense of heaven as being outside ourselves, the fear of hell or any future state of uncertainty. We are each part of the only life there is, some part of the eternal God. We are forever reaching out, forever gaining, forever growing, forever expanding. Spirit is forever incarnating itself in us." So as we inhale together, 1, 2, 3, and 4, holding. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, and 4. What we know in this moment is that heaven and hell is not some destination post leaving this body, but they're the opportunities that we get to delve into by means of the use of our mind. And so heaven in metaphysical terms is an archery term. It's that pulling back of the bow and arrow and releasing the bow, and the bow hitting that bullseye, just as was referenced earlier. Excuse me. It is knowing that we are hitting that mark in spirit that automatically moves out into the field in the form of creation that is reflective of what we have demanded for ourselves, that we know for ourselves right now. And that is, we are each a part of the only life there is. A part of the eternality of life. Interconnected with all beings, all life. And we covenant and commit this morning, now that we've opened these avenues inside our being, both physically and spiritually, to covenant and commit to be forever reaching out, forever gaining, forever growing, and forever expanding on our own time, on our own terms, because it's up to us. But trusting that we trust, that we trust, that we trust, that every step of the way. Spirit, the life force, is forever incarnating itself in us. We open our minds to God. And we inhale 1, 2, 3, and 4. Holding. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, and 4. Once again, inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly opening our eyes. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stretching out our arms. Stretching them out to open up our chest, to be an example, a physical representation of what has taken place in this meditation. Holding our heads high. Breathing in once again with our eyes fully open. 1, 2, 3. Filling up. 4. Bringing our arms in prayer position. Namaste. Exhaling out anything that's contrary to what we've just done, whether we're aware of it or not. We exhale 1, 2, bowing in prayer position. 3, and 4. As we rise up together, saying together, Namaste.
Namaste. And so it is.
So
So it is.